Good evening and welcome to another edition of the FPL Addicts and Esports Live fancy weekly videocast and podcast. Today we'll be going through a dynamite derby on Merseyside, a hole at the heart of the title defence, and a battle of two United clubs that saw the red side triumph over their black and white counterparts. Alongside me, as usual, is a Newcastle fan himself who's absolutely buzzing with that show on Tyneside. It's my right-hand man in the commentary box. It's Elliot Craig. Elliot, you must still be buzzing. It's Wednesday night as we record this. You must still be over the moon.
Well, at least I'm a better fantasy manager than Steve Bruce is an actual manager, is all I'll say there, mate. But I'm doing well, thank you. I mean, you can't really chat yourself, can you? I mean, Chrissy Hughton's first game with Forest and, 1-0. So we'll just have to see how it goes, mate.
I'll flash back to the time that you said that this isn't a championship podcast, so we can gloss over that one really quickly. But in terms of FPL, you're absolutely flying. You probably could do a better job than Steve Bruce at the minute, but then again, who could? So you've had an absolute blinder to start the season. Quick PSA though, this is the final chance you can join the league and get involved with our podcast. We're having an absolute ton of fun over here and we'd love you to get involved. So it's going, it's not quite gone. Get in before the gavel hits down. So to join the league, you need to use the code WNZJDI, WNZJDI. Deadline is at the 23rd of October, 11:59. Deadline is fast approaching. Once again, Elliot, just introduce you as the co-host. You've got your three biggest results of the week. I'm backing in that Newcastle and Man United isn't there, but what is?
Well, thank you, Ollie. After what felt like a really long international break, we were finally treated to some brilliant Premier League football once again in game week 5. My first of the 3 talking points was the Merseyside derby, which ended Liverpool 2, Everton 2. Sadio Mane got the Reds off to a brilliant start, who finished off a tiny ball from Andy Robertson, who whipped it in. A Jordan Pickford disaster class led to him cleaning up Virgil van Dijk. However, Pickford got away unpunished due to an offside, but that was where Van Dijk's game ended, and he looks to be out for a few months now. The Toffees then fired back through Michael Keane, who was able to head home a lovely ball in from James Rodriguez. Onto the second half, and the Egyptian king Mo Salah was able to volley home a loose ball, giving Liverpool the lead. However, minutes later, man in form Dominic Calvert-Lewin did what he does best and headed home a lovely cross from Luca Digne. A red card was then given to Richarlison for a dangerous tackle on new boy Thiago, and in the dying moments of the game, Jordan Henderson scored for the Reds. However, VAR said no and ruled Sadio Mane out for being just offside very harshly. Into the second talking point of the week, and it was Chelsea 3, Southampton 3. The German boys in blue kept up their international form as Timo Werner finally scored his first Premier League goals. King Kai Havertz then followed in suit and scored his first goal of the league campaign. However, much to the story of Chelsea's season, they couldn't quite keep out the partnership of Danny Ings and Che Adams, nor Jan Vestergaard, who equalised for the Saints in the 92nd minute, earning the Saints a well-earned point. My final talking point of the week, to Matt's despair, is Tottenham 3, West Ham 3. Both Harry Kane and Heung-min Son carrying up their existing form, with Kane netting twice and assisting once, and Son managing a goal and an assist too. The game looked dead and buried until the 82nd minute when Fabian Balbuena headed home a lovely cross from Aaron Cresswell. This was followed up by Davinson Sancho's own goal in the 85th and finished with the strike of the season so far from Manuel Lanzini, who struck a rocket of a hit into the top right of Lloris's net, which earned both teams a point. And that wraps up my 3 main talking points for the week.
Top class stuff, and I'm sure Matt is absolutely fuming with how that turned out. Speaking of which, we've got to introduce the other 2 guests, the other 2 regulars from the podcast. We'll start with you, Matt, the guru yourself. I think we've just signed, I thought when I tuned on, I had to adjust my computer a little bit. I thought we'd signed the left back from Tottenham on loan. I thought we'd got a regular on the podcast with the new haircut, but not quite. Matt, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Ollie. That's a good little comparison. I'm a lefty myself, so and I probably played just as well as him. So yeah, thanks for that, Ollie. But I'm not too bad. I'm still a bit upset about the weekend and the Spurs result and the 3-0 up and letting it slip with 9 minutes to go. But yeah, look, we attacked well, so I'm sure we'll pick up some wins in the the coming game weeks.
Also, before we move on, it was your 30th birthday in the week, so obviously many happy returns. Obviously, it was the game week ended on that morning, and certain someone had a decent win in a draft over you. More on that later. But hope you had a class one, mate. And somehow you got to 30. You don't look a day over 20 odd, but it's the way the world works.
Can't
Moving on
complain,
to
Ollie.
yeah, of course you can't, mate. And to the final member of the regular team, it's Jack Gillibrand from Esports Live, and somehow you're still top of the draft league.
Still top of the draft and not moving, Ollie. I'm going to be staying there. I thought you were going to compliment my hair here. I'm a lefty. I haven't got hair like Tellez though. It's a bit different, bit of a shorter and sharper. But happy birthday, Matt and Elliot. How are you, mate? I bet you're not too great after that victory for United over the weekend.
Yeah, look, we'll move on from that pretty quickly. But yeah, top of the.
I can't believe that wasn't in your talking points, mate. I thought you mentioned that just for me.
It wasn't a shock to me, so yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
I mean, I remember Saka's scoring was enough of a shock, surely, but
that was a shock. Not
I
like
think
my
more
rifle.
of a shock was the scandal that's come out with him midweek, but less said about that, the better.
We'll move on.
Of course, I think we should. Moving on to this game week, reviewing this game week, Elliot, mate, we will start with you. You're top of the Classic League, and you've had another decent week to back up the talk. How did you get on?
I scored 70 points, mate, which was, I think the average was 60, so I scored 10 above that. I think I didn't make any transfers, so I rolled over, nailed the captain choice with Harry Kane. I was delighted with that. I'm a bit disappointed I didn't triple captain him, but Jimenez also finally got me a goal, which was good. Fernandes missed a penalty, did score though. Doesn't often miss penalties, but he did that week. And then Salah obviously scored himself as well. So the defense did nothing, but midfield and attack did quite well for me. So I'm very happy with 70 points this week, above the average. Keep it going.
As you should be. Now, Matt's a bit of a snake actually, because he somehow found his way through 1 point above me in the Classic League. I thought I had him covered, but a bit of a late show has got him above me by a point. So I'm a bit fuming about that. But how did you get on this game week?
Yeah, look, Ollie, it wasn't wasn't my best week. The game week before, where I hit 83 points or so, was a bit better. But I've come out above the average, 63 points, average being 60. So my aim is just to continually beat the average and try and hit. If I have a bad week, I want to be getting over 50 points at least. So I was let down early on. I had Richarlison in there, who hit the -1 and the red card. And now looking back, I probably could have taken that -4 hit to bring Kane in. But yeah, look, 63 points keeps me in the 10th position, top 10 of the mini league. So onwards and upwards, and we go again this week.
As you should now, of course. Now, Jack, over to you. You're having a bit of a tough time breaking into that top 100. How's it going down there?
Oh well, obviously I made it into 98th last week, and then after a bit of a great week this week, I hit 84 points. And the worst thing about FPL is when you're looking on your Sunday, and there's still the Monday morning fixtures obviously here in Australia. It's you're looking at it. You've moved up. I went up to about 60th in the mini league. And then obviously after the Wolves result, I think a lot of people had Jimenez above me. And then because we're still taking on players into the competition, into the mini league, I've went from 68th position and back down to 87th or something like that. I think it was. So not happy about that. Moved further down after a bit of progress. Got a bit excited, but I think that's the last time I look at the fantasy league until the round's over.
That's fair play. They say don't count your chickens before they hatch. This is just another prime example now.
Ollie, I've got a bone to pick with you as well, mate. Because obviously I was I was chatting to you obviously on Friday, trying to get a bit of advice about my team. Obviously, I played the wild card, and then we were umming and ahhing about playing McCarthy in goal or Martinez. Martinez obviously came out with 9 points, and McCarthy, he came out with 1. So that was down to you. And then also my second point, actually, Ollie, was a bit of advice around Zaha. You told me he wasn't playing, swapped him out for Grealish. Lo and behold, Zaha plays, scores, and Grealish doesn't.
Look, that did put a bit of a smile on my face seeing Grealish score. But just to know that I kind of like I know I messed up there and obviously didn't help you out. But I did have evidence from Ben Dinnery, who's a pretty reliable source usually. And it said he was a doubt, so He didn't say he was ruled out, so that was on your own merits, mate. The keeper decision was based off my team a lot because I know obviously Martinez played Leicester. I have 2 Leicester defenders, so I was kind of advocating to steer clear of that. But I mean, obviously, again, your decision sort of down to poor management.
Your first mistake, Jack, was going to Ollie for fantasy advice.
I should have kept to the guru, stuck to my guns, and listened to the guru, not Ollie.
Well, I mean, you can learn from mistakes, mate. But obviously, you're 80th in the league, and I'm what, top 20? So I'm 12th in the league actually. So there you go, mate. Pipe down. Your draft side's getting too big for you, mate. Honestly, poor form there. Now I've got to come clean a little bit. I didn't plan to play my free hit this week. Obviously, I went on the podcast saying I was rolling over all this kind of stuff, and De Bruyne, I might transfer him out. But I did end up playing my first chip for the season, being a free hit. Obviously, I had the 3 Southampton players, a tough away fixture at Stamford Bridge. I had Soyuncu that was red. I had De Bruyne that was red. And I wanted to see if I could roll the dice on De Bruyne and see if we could get him back in. And I also wanted the Southampton players back into my team because they have a good run of fixtures. So with that in mind, I did play my free hit. Obviously, nailed the captain choice with Kane, Bruno Fernandes and Heung-min Son. Obviously, I'm looking to get Son into my actual team now, off the back of this performance. And Calvert-Lewin also chipping in, but a few disappointing blanks around there as well. Led to a score of 82 points, which was 22 above the average. Game week rank of just about 626,000. And we're well above the average. So I was absolutely buzzing with that. So
just confirm on that one. Obviously, you got 83. I got 84, Ollie. So you're telling me to pipe down, mate. But I actually beat you this week as well.
It's a marathon, mate, not a sprint. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Win's a win.
Hey, fair enough. Then.
You should know that being a Blackburn fan.
You didn't have to go there, did you? You didn't have to go there.
We had to, mate. We had to. What are you boys thinking about? Obviously, we've got quite a few new players in this week. Obviously, our man Elliot's top of the pile, which is great to see. But then we've got a newcomer coming in. I think Tom Southworth in second. He just come from nowhere as a new entry. Are you worried about some of these newbies coming in? Before deadline day?
I'm not happy about it, to be honest. I think keep it how it is at the minute. Finish the league here, end it. Just stop the league. I'm happy with that. Take first. Because I don't think I can keep it up, to be honest, but pressure's on now.
I don't think there'll be too many new players coming in, but I mean, there might be a few that might threaten to take your crown off you, mate. They might dethrone you from that top spot, but we've got the league on the screen now, the top 12, because that's all that we're really worried about with me being there. Elliot's at the top, and he's doing really well. He's 3 points clear of the aforementioned Tom Southworth. 73.4 overall rank is actually decent as well, 73.4k there, which is really good. And then I'm down there 324 points, so I'm a fair way off the lead. And then 10th spot, we've got Matt, who's 325, 1 point above me, as I've said, which is a bit disappointing considering that I think I should be above him anyway. And I don't know how far I have to scroll down to get to Jack, so I'm not even going to bother. But that's how the league's looking.
Don't think the screen will scroll that far, mate, so don't worry about it. I'm there. Don't worry.
We'll be here for hours, mate. We can't be doing that. We'll have all that efficiency on this podcast, mate. We can't be doing that.
Gold.
In terms of chips played this week, the only one that applies to is me because I played my free hit. I do regret not playing a wild card. I do regret not playing my wild card. Did you?
Yeah, I played my wild card, obviously, yeah. Changed my team around in there. Remember, obviously, last week I was whinging about my defence. So I needed Kane, Son, and obviously I was talking about Zaha a lot, then ended up not putting him in thanks to Ollie. But yeah, obviously I transformed my team and tried to, it got me 84 points, to be fair. Really happy with that, like I said, but it only climbed me 10 places in the end. But that's,
mate, surely that's cheating. I swear they only give you one wild card in the first half of the season, and I'm pretty sure you played 2 with that FPL suicide at the end of game week 1.
Very true. 2 chances. Hopefully I've got it right this time.
Mate, you'd hope to think so. I've obviously played my free hit. Slightly regretting that I didn't use my first wild card. I mean, that's up from up my sleeve later in the season, so you can't really complain too much. And I had a really good week with the free hit team that I selected. So that's all on chips. We'll move on to the mini league stats just quickly. I'd have 4 wild cards in the top 20 and the 1 free hit, which was mine. And Kane was the man who most people captained inside that top 20. He was the most popular captain pick. and he came back and fired on all fronts against the Hammers. Decent score, and it benefited me as well because obviously I was flying. A couple of goals there. And we are away. Obviously, it started well for Tottenham. Didn't end too well with that absolute Manuel Lanzini thunderbolt. But in terms of Harry Kane, we're buzzing. Oh, goal of the season so far for sure. 100%. Has to be, doesn't it? Can't think of a better one.
Has to be.
I think Maddison is the only shout, but it's still not as good as it.
I think Maddison's. I think Lanzini was a bit of a sort of. Yeah, I think he hit that 50 times and only score it once, whereas Maddison, I think he truly meant it. So no bitterness from me.
I saw actually. They the way they calculate, I don't know how they do it, but they calculate the percentage chance of the shot going in when it leaves their boot, and it was like a 1 out of 100. So it's not 1 in 50. I think it's 1 out of 100. So he was considering himself lucky to score that one. I definitely think as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a good
goal.
Doesn't matter
if it's unfortunately, 1 in 100 though. If you score that 1 in 100 against one of your biggest rivals, just quickly back onto Harry Kane. Obviously, had the 2 points for the minutes that he played, 2 goals and an assist and 3 bonus. So a lot of people captained him, and he fired on all fronts. And obviously, I don't think we'll want to mention Tottenham too much, but while we're talking about Tottenham, we're going to go to one of their biggest fans and one of the biggest players in Regulon as well. So, Matt, over to you with the Guru section.
Thanks, Ollie. Look, we're going to start off with something a bit different this week. I've done some polls to our fans on the socials, just to kind of compare a few different FPL players. So what we've done, to put a poll up to see who the preference is between Harry Kane and Dominic Calvert-Lewin at this current stage. Obviously, Kane's been on absolute fire. He's the top scoring striker in the game. Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored every single week. So in terms of the polls, the Kane v Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we ended up with 86% of our fans coming out with Harry Kane as the most important player to have between the two. Dominic Calvert-Lewin with 14%. We then did a Mane or Salah, who's the most important midfielder to have, given they're both from Liverpool. They're both premium midfielders who like to score a lot of goals. Mane coming at 14%. And Salah coming at 86%, which wasn't really a surprise given Salah's start to the season. And the last poll we did was a goalkeeper poll. I thought it would be quite interesting because I know goalkeeper's been an area this season that a lot of managers have struggled with, and they're not really too sure who to have. So I went with Martinez from Aston Villa versus Rui Patricio from Wolves. Who is the most important goalkeeper over the next 5 game weeks? It was a close one. We had 50% of our fans go with Martinez, the other 43% going with Patricio. That my personal opinion out of the 3, I think Harry Kane is the most important between him and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So I think that's definitely correct. Salah over Mane, 100%. That's a very good shout from our fans. The Martinez Rui Patricio one, that one's got me a bit. I'm more of a preference for the next 5 game weeks towards Patricio with Wolves fixtures. Martinez has had some good results up to now, the highest scoring goalkeeper, but I still think Aston Villa's bubble will burst. So that was our 3 polls that we ran this week, and more to come in the coming weeks.
Great stuff there, Matt. Obviously, if you want to get involved in some of these polls, which we're going to be running more of, go over and follow Matt at FPL_addicts on Instagram and Twitter, and also some of the Esports live pages, just to get yourselves involved in some of those polls. You can feature some of your stats. They'll be up on the graphic as well, just so you can see them visually. Matt, what about your 5 form players to watch? Do any of those 3, being Kane, being Patricio, or being Salah, do they feature in your 5 to watch, or have you gone somewhere else?
Yeah, look, I've got my I've got my 5 form players. So my current form players at the moment, I've gone with Sir Harry himself, Harry Kane. He's just producing big scores at the moment. So he's one of my 5 form players. Second, I've gone with Bruno Fernandes. The penalty king. He's just getting penalties every week, and he did miss one on the weekend, but he's still come out with 11 points. Rashford's another form player of mine. I've doubled up on United after a horrible start and that 6-1 defeat against my team Tottenham a few weeks ago. I'm really liking the look of Rashford as well. he's got a bit of form. He got into double figures with his fantasy league score on the weekend as well. I've gone with another Spurs player in terms of my form picks with Son. Again, another double-digit score, goals and assists. And then my fifth form player, I've mentioned him on the podcast for weeks now, is Sterling again. This is 2 weeks in a row where he's given us returns. This weekend he got 11 points. This coming weekend, West Ham, a team who he scored a hat-trick against last season, at the London Stadium. So in terms of my 5 form players, it's got to be the Kane, Fernandes, Rashford, Son, Sterling, just continuing to get points each week at the moment. So they're my 5 form players.
Great stuff. Now, slightly digressing a little bit off FPL, would you say that Harry Kane is one of the top form players in the world? Because I certainly would.
Oh, 100%. Look, I did get involved in quite a good debate recently between the Ledwanowski and Kane debate, and who the better player is. And look, I wasn't biased. I was honest and said right now, Ledwanowski's got quite a number of years on Kane, but give Kane another sort of 6 or 7 years, and we'll kind of compare them then. But right at this point in terms of form, it's got to be Kane and Ledwanowski at the moment for me. Ledwanowski probably just edges it. Although saying that, Kane does, he's providing a lot of assists, so it's got to be between those two for me.
Now, obviously, we've got the form players to watch. They're quite common players, obviously, the ones you've just gone through. Any differentials or outside shouts that you think might fire?
Yeah, look, I've got my 5 to watch and differential type players. I'm going to go with Rashford. I just did mention before as one of my form players. I'm putting him down as a differential, 6.2% ownership as a midfielder. Perfect one to get in there because not many people own him. I've gone with Kilman from Wolves. He's 4.1 million. He's just come off a 12-point score against Leeds. He got 9 points last week. That's an absolute bargain. 5.7% ownership as of today. My next one, Ross Barkley, 2 goals in 2 weeks on form Villa, 2.3% ownership. So you get him in there, and there's not going to be many other managers that own him. If he gets another goal, that's a huge differential. And my next one is defender. I've gone with Joe Gomez. 2.6% ownership's really low. We've got the Van Dijk injury. There's an opportunity for Gomez to play every week. Liverpool got a nice home game against Sheffield United this weekend. So yeah, Joe Gomez if you need a nice cheap defender. And then my last differential is Che Adams, 11 points against Chelsea on the weekend just gone, and 1.6% ownership. So you get him in there, and he gets a couple of goals. You're going to be well ahead in your mini leagues.
I think as well, just on the point with Joe Gomez, I think if I'm correct, there's an injury to John Matip as well, so there might be some more long-term security for Gomez to play at the back there. Obviously, we've spoken about Liverpool a little bit, obviously with Van Dijk injury, and obviously now the Matip injury, meaning Joe Gomez might need to play a little bit more. They might be a little bit leaky at the back, but obviously great going forward. Are they in one of your teams to watch this week?
Yeah, Liverpool's definitely one of my 3 teams to watch. They're at home against Sheffield United, who have scored 1 goal this season. Liverpool do have a shaky goalkeeper in there at the moment, and the big man Van Dijk out. But Liverpool against a low score, and Sheffield United is definitely one of my teams to watch. Probably my number 1 team to watch, especially at Anfield, where they've not lost there in this is probably a couple of years now. It's a long record. My other team to watch, I've gone, and I've got to say sorry to Elliot, but he probably isn't surprised, is Wolves at home to Newcastle. Great win for Wolves against Leeds. Got a nice clean sheet. So I'm liking the look of Wolves. Newcastle just got a bit of a battering by United. And my last one, I've got a. I'm not one that always likes to put my own team in there, because if they don't do well, then it doesn't look too good on me, being a big Spurs fan. But I've got to go Spurs away at Burnley with a pretty drab 0-0 against West Brom, and Son, Harry Kane, and then we're going to have the addition of Gareth Bale to more than likely start, I think, in the next one. And I can't see anything but attacking returns for us. So they're definitely my 3 teams to watch out for this week.
On that one, Matt, I don't think you've gone too well at Burnley last couple of years, have you?
No, that's true. We drew
a draw and a loss. Is it?
Yeah, we drew last season 1-1, but that day we had no Harry Kane, we had no Son, we had a number of players out. Plus, season before, I remember Harry Kane was returning from injury and he did score, and we lost that one as well. So we've had some bad records, but I think the way we're attacking at the moment, I just can't see Burnley with some of the results. I know they just did come off a 0-0 against West Brom, but I can't see. I can't really see them stopping the the Sons and the Harry Kanes, the form that they're in.
And obviously you're not as good with Gareth Bale on the pitch, are you?
Yeah, well, he wasn't the best end result when he come on, but like, I am going to say he did. He nearly gave Kane an assist. Like, Kane was very unlucky not to get a hat trick when he cracked the post. That would have been a Bale assist, and that Bale had a nice little run at the end with a good little bit of skill, and we should have scored. And I think if Bale had that extra week behind him, then he scores. So look, Burnley, it always a tough game, but I think without their home crowd there, it's a bit of an easier prospect. But no game's easy in the Premier League. We've seen that lately.
So now on to the Scout 11. Matt, what have you come up with?
Thanks, Ollie. It was a very, very tough decision this week. Obviously, we're sitting in the 100 million budget, so I've had to throw a couple of curveballs in there, like Adrian in goal. He's been a bit dodgy lately, but 4.5 million, I had to fit him in. Sheffield United at home, they've scored 1 goal in 5 games. Joel Ward, 4.5 million, another budget option. Crystal Palace, away at Fulham. A few of the other guys kind of speak for themselves. Harry Kane, Son, Salah, Sterling, who I love on the podcast. Zaha, away at Fulham. I've got Reguilon from Spurs. He got a assist on the weekend. I've doubled up on the Liverpool defence with the low scoring Sheffield United coming to Anfield, and a great record at Anfield for Liverpool. And I've gone with 2 Wolves assets. Jimenez, who grabbed a goal at Leeds, home to Newcastle, who just let 4 goals in away. Sorry, at home to Man United, which he's
got to run right, hasn't he? He's going to run right.
And you think Jimenez at home? I don't think he scored at home for a couple of games now, so he's due. Once he gets one, he's due another. And then last one, Kilman. I spoke about him in the differentials. He's got 9 points and 12 points in his last 2 game weeks. Seems to be flying in terms of like the bonus point structure. So, potential clean sheet, and if not, maybe some bonus in him as well. So that's the Scout 11. But again, remember it's within the 100 million budget. It was tough. There was a couple of players that didn't quite make it. But we've only got a certain amount to spend. So that's this week's Scout 11.
So now on to the guest section for this week. We've got someone sitting 6th in the mini league Esports Live, which if you haven't joined already, make sure you do so. We've got Joe Cadella, who's the manager of FC Curge, currently sitting in 6th. As I've said, Joe, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Top notch. Obviously, first question, how have you found the season so far? I know, obviously, off air we're talking about, you being a little bit new to the game. You're obviously absolutely flying. Can you review performance so far?
I think I've had a pretty good last couple of weeks, to be honest. I took out Traore and put in Rodriguez, and then made him my captain. And I think that was the week that Everton won 4-2. So he scored a couple and got an assist. And then I swapped the captain then after that to Kane, and then he bagged a couple as well. So bit of a fortunate move, I think. I think I might have got a little bit lucky. But yeah, took a bit of a risk. And then I wanted to bring in Calvert-Lewin, obviously. He's doing pretty well. And I didn't know whether to take out Lacazette or Jimenez. And I chose Lacazette. And then Calvert-Lewin scored. And then Jimenez scored as well against Leeds the other night. So that turned out to be a good choice as well.
Brilliant stuff, Joe. And you scored 87 points this week. Is that the highest you've achieved so far this season?
I think so. And then I think I might have got 84 last week. So yes, it is.
That is not
like I say, had a good couple of weeks, and I think people have been struggling the last couple of weeks, and I've made a couple of decisions that worked in my favour. So I think that's why I've shot up the table a little bit.
That's very good. And do you have any of your favourite assets? Obviously, you spoke about how you got Calvert-Lewin in and you had Kane. So who's been your favourite asset so far this season, mate?
Kane's pretty solid, isn't
he? Yeah.
He's pretty good. And Konza as well at centre-back, I think got him pretty cheap. I don't know if his price has gone up, but he seems to do pretty well.
Was that a bit of a random? Was it luck of the draw signing him? Is it because of his price, or was that a tactical decision, mate?
I'm going to say it was a tactical decision.
That's what a good manager does, mate. That's what a good manager does.
Well, I like to line up my my moves, so I know my next couple of moves. And if you do a little bit of research, you can find a few hidden gems. And I put on I listened to another the BBC podcast. And they talk about
second favourite one, yeah.
The second favourite podcast, and so I got that on the car when I'm driving around. So pick up a few little tips from that as well.
Oh, good stuff, Joe. It's the guru here. Look, I was going to ask you about your research and where you've done your research, but you've kind of just told us. You do a bit of 606. Is there anywhere else you go other than obviously the FPL Addicts Instagram and Twitter page?
No, it's all in here. It's all in here.
Brain.
And just trying to. It's like a game of snooker, isn't it? You just try and think a couple of moves ahead. So I know I'm plotting my next move, and it might be controversial. It might not be. It might do well. It might not. So
you sound like a true guru yourself. And what's your form been in previous years of fantasy football?
Never played it before.
This is your first year, so you got a good start. You got
a beginner's luck, surely.
I've set up a team a couple of times, and then I kind of just forget about it a bit. But obviously, we've been in a bit of a lockdown, so and another mate of mine, and obviously Jack. It's just people to kind of talk, something to talk about, just something to keep you interested in we've just come out of a 3-month lockdown, obviously, so just been a bit of fun, and I've got a couple of people that are into it, so it's just something fun to chat about, I guess.
No, you're spot on, mate. Obviously, similar to myself, you're a big Man United fan. Obviously, we chat a bit about Man United, and it's a good time, especially this week, to be chatting about Manchester United, back of the PSG win last night, and obviously a big win over Newcastle, which Elliot in the pod wasn't too happy about either. But what you've got a couple of assets in there. You've got Penaldes and Williams. Do you plan to bring any more United players in? Maybe Rashford. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe. I think I'm gonna have to free up a bit of money, and then I'll probably get rid of Ward-Prowse as well. And I want to put another midfielder in there once I've freed a bit of money up. So it could be Rashford, but like you say, there's a lot of penalties this year, so I'm not sure if that'll be the wisest choice. I might have to pick a more expensive midfielder that takes penalties, because Zaha and Fernandes are both doing really well for me. So I think that could be the way forward.
Yeah, nice. I don't think you're far off the mark there. I mean, my score drastically improved this week with a few more new penalty takers, so I don't think you're too far wrong there.
Yeah,
not at all. Just quickly back to the Bruno Penaldes point. We think we've got the new comedian here, the new Thomas Muller, Bruno Penaldes.
Do you like that one? I thought you'd like that.
Oh, it's interesting. We'll say that. And
it took him a couple of attempts this morning, didn't it?
Hey, we get there. We got there.
Carl Darling.
Even one at the weekend as well.
Plenty more to come from. Plenty more to come for sure.
Now, obviously, Joe, for those who live locally, you're actually a hairdresser by trade. You've obviously got the barbers open, King's Domain or down in Paran. If you can get there, go and show your face.
Greville Street. Come in and I'll give you some free fantasy football tips. How about that?
I was going to say, you're going to get tons of people coming down now asking you what to do with it.
I'll trade your custom for free advice.
Obviously, now off the back of that, obviously being a hairdresser, you should have a pretty decent taste on who has the best hair. Off the back of us here on the podcast, who do you reckon has the best hair here? Do you reckon? Best Barnet?
But it's not you.
I expected that 100%. I expected that 100%.
No, I have to say Jack, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. Listen, guys, it's a testimonial for Joe Wade. If you want your haircut, get down to King's Domain in Peru. I threw that one in there just to give Ollie and Elliot a few give him a few jokes in there. But yeah, no, good banter. But listen, Joe, thanks so much for coming on, mate. Much appreciated. Great to see you doing so well in your debut season. Definitely one to watch, and hopefully someone we can get on the podcast again in the future. Don't want to get you on here every week, mate. You'll everyone will have nice haircuts all of a sudden, won't they?
Yeah, get me in this season. I'll be relegated by then.
I think he'll be talking about my relegation, not yours, mate. But definitely want to keep an eye on, and thanks again from all of us here, and we'll keep in touch. All right, buddy. Good luck.
All right, boys. Thank you very much.
Top man.
Good luck. See you later. Bye.
To our transfers for the week. Obviously, the big talking point, we've got to be doing some management. Jack, we'll start off with you since you're the worst on the podcast by far. Let's not beat around the bush here. How are you planning to turn that around? Because it's got to be soon.
Unbelievable. Listen, Ollie, I played the wild card last week. I thought it was a good move. It was the right time. Hit 84 points. So going into this week, I'm not too sure I'm going to make any transfers. I think I'm going to sit as I am. I was maybe considering moving some Leicester players, defenders out for the week and moving back in. Ideally, I would like Zaha in, but Grealish has still got a good fixture this week against Leeds. So all I'm going to do is just change Martinez and McCarthy in and out off my bench, and that's probably about it, if I'm honest. I think Penaldes, which I know you love, and Jorginho will be on the pens against each other this weekend. No doubt there's got to be some penalty action going on there. So that's I'm probably going to stay as I am, mate, and roll over a transfer for the following week.
Not bad at all. Elliot, what about you? Obviously, you shouldn't really be needing to make any changes. They say don't change your winning formula. Have you done so?
I think they say change it if one of your players has done their ACL and is going to be out for 8 months, to be honest.
Very good point. Very good point.
This man right here, Virgil van Dijk, is he's out the window for me. He hasn't really done much for me all season. They've only kept one clean sheet, I think, against Chelsea. So him out, and then Nakamba, who's sitting on my bench, is my your 4.5 million player. Him out, and then I think I'm actually going to get Barry Douglas in, I think, mate. You'll be happy with that. 3.9 million defender. He's one of the cheap ones, so free up a little bit of money as he touches his Rovers shirt. So I think Barry Douglas in to just sit on the bench for the whole season, and then Zaha or Grealish in the midfield, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with just yet, but that'll be my transfers for the week.
Great stuff. Obviously, the new Rover signing, so you're going to get a bit of winning formula on your bench somewhere. That's obviously nice to see. Matt, so now just over to my team just quickly. I haven't actually made the transfers yet, but I put them in on the screen. I'm actually planning to take a hit. I know Jack's rolling over, but I'll be taking my second hit of the season, which I'm not actually a massive fan of, but I think has to be done. So I'll be getting rid of Soyuncu, who's red, not going to play for a while, and I'll be bringing in Kilman, who is obviously flying. Got man of the match, much to Connor Cody's dismay, away at Ellen Road. So he'll be coming in for Soyuncu, and Kevin De Bruyne, the man who I was hoping to keep in. I was hoping it was going to be a 1 week injury. It looks like that's more so. I'll be bringing back in Heung-min Son to get that Son and Kane partnership flourishing. The good thing about that is it leaves me with 4.2 million in the bank, and that's a deliberate ploy. Next week I'll be looking to get rid of Keane and Davis. Obviously 4.4 is just fallen in price, which is very annoying, and I'll be bringing in Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think it was 1.1 at the start of the week, or 1.2 I had spare with that plan. It's down to 0.9 because all the players are rising, but I should have no troubles getting them in. So that's my transfers for the week, taking a 4-point hit for the second time this season. So, Matt, obviously you've got your 1 point advantage, your scrawny little 1 point advantage. Do you reckon you'll grow that with this team?
Well, Ollie, you've just told me you're about to take a -4 hit, so that's a 5-point advantage going into this game week. But look, I broke a couple of rules with my team this week. One, I had Havertz in there who scored. I always say if a player scores, don't take him out the following week. But I needed to get my man Harry Kane in there. Like I said, this is the first time I've never had Kane from the start of a season, so had to get him in. Second rule I broke was I wasn't patient. Obviously, I talk about patience and press conferences. I actually made the transfers on Monday morning once. I'd watch the Spurs and the Aston Villa Leicester game.
Absolute panic from the guru saying
no. Look,
changes.
I don't normally get too worried, but I knew once Kane got 16 points, I knew he was going to price rise again because he'd price rised on the weekend, so I had to get him in. And the plan was either Alexander-Arnold or Havertz were going to come out of my team. And I'm not letting Alexander-Arnold go because he's going to be there for the season because he does get better with time, and they got Sheffield United. Barkley was 5.9 million, which is a bargain with two goals in 2 games. And a bit of me was like, when I'd seen he'd scored again, I was thinking, I've got to get him in now because I had no money left. So taking Havertz out and Richarlison, who had to go, I literally had to do it there and then, and it's paid off because Kane has actually price rise within the last 24 hours. So it's paid off, albeit I do get worried about European fixtures, and that's why I like to leave my transfers up to press conferences. But I had to do it. Price rises. I had to take Havertz out. I thought Barkley wasn't a bad little replacement. Got the armband on Salah. Home game. Loves a couple of goals at home. Got Sterling in there. I've got Son. St. Maximan. I'm not really too sure if he's going to do much, but he's a bit of a wild card. And bit worried about Mitchell. I'm not too sure if he's actually going to keep his place because of Patrick Van Aanholt. But I've got Brewster. Yeah, I've got Brewster coming in off the bench. Even if he gets a couple of points, it's better than nothing. But I'm pretty excited with. A bit worried about Doherty as well, actually. But I do think he's going to get a start against Burnley. But Kane, Salah, Sterling, Son, Alexander-Arnold. I think I should be getting some points out of them, and no captain from my own team. Reason being, if I captain Kane or Son, although I did do it the previous week, I did just captain Son, but I just think home games for Salah. It's so hard to not captain Salah at home, especially against a team that scored 1 goal this season, and also I think. If I was to captain Son and Kane, and I did pick them on a week that they didn't fire, it's a bit of a double whammy because normally that would mean that Spurs have dropped points again. So I think Salah at home to Sheffield United at the moment though that could change, albeit we'll see how injuries and stuff go. So
the second batch of Champions League games, namely looking at Manchester City against Porto and Liverpool against Ajax, haven't been played yet, so we don't obviously know the result. But the podcast will be out by the time that the result has been known and the game's been played. So we're going to take a bit of a look at the Europa League, being Tottenham against the Austrian side Lask, and then Leicester City against Zorya Luhansk, which is Friday morning for us. The podcast will be released on Thursday night. So a bit of the Europa League. If we're looking at some of the assets from Tottenham and Leicester, who do we all think is going to fire in 1 in that game and 2 in the Premier League at the weekend?
Harry Kane.
Easy, right?
Do you think Bale? Do we think Bale's going to start? Do you think he's going to start in that game?
No, I don't think they'll risk him in the Europa. I think they'll maybe give him some minutes towards the end, just to get his fitness up. I think Burnley, they'll put him in at Burnley, and I think we'll see a score out of Bale this week. Son, Kane. I'm feeling another sort of three goals for us. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself because Burnley have proven to be quite a stubborn team in the past. So I think Kane, Son, Bale, Reguilon are all ones to kind of keep your eyes on.
And in terms of Leicester, if we're going down to the King Power, where are we looking in terms of FPL assets? We know we've seen Castagna, who's started flying. Obviously, outside that, you've got Vardy, who's a perennial striker. He always seems to find the back of the net. If we're looking at Leicester, who do you reckon we're looking at? 1 in the Europa League game and in their campaign, and also at the weekend?
Yeah, I think they've gone a bit flat, Leicester. So I think Yeah, Vardy. In terms of you don't want Vardy to come out with an injury because I think he's still in quite a few people's teams, and James Justin is another one a lot of people have held on to. Yeah, that's probably my thoughts on it, as well as Castagna. I think those three, and to see if Maddison gets some minutes under his belt as well is a big one, because he's not yet to really fire in fantasy, other than that week where he scored against City, and he is a huge differential.
Yeah, he needs some minutes under his belt, doesn't he? So I think he'll probably be turning up, and I think he just needs more minutes, Maddison. So I really like him. To be fair, he's not too dissimilar, obviously, to Grealish, is he? But it depends. Going into the Leicester for the Europa, it just depends how serious they're taking it. I mean, if they go for it, I mean, they could be contenders, for a bit of silverware in there, really. Especially if Vardy's playing all the time. But it's the drop in a slight bit of form with that result against Aston Villa is kind of, you're wondering, would Leicester drop off for a couple of weeks? I hope not. I've got Constagna and Justin in my team, so I'm hoping they continue to deliver, really.
Doesn't really get much easier now for Leicester. Obviously, Zoya Luhansk isn't as tough a test as going to the Emirates on Sunday night, but that's what's facing Leicester. Trip away to Arsenal straight after that game. Not much break in between the two. But that's how Leicester are looking. Obviously, we mentioned Tottenham against Burnley away at Turf Moor. That's 7 o'clock kickoff for us down there. So it'll be, an 8 o'clock kickoff there on Monday night down there in Lancashire. So obviously, a couple of games there to look at over Europa League. Obviously, we've got Man City Porto in the morning for us. Obviously, that result, as we said, we obviously know, and Liverpool Ajax should be a belter as well. But that is it for the podcast this week. Another top podcast. Obviously, Elliot, top of the pops again. You're looking to keep hold of that. Do you reckon you've got what it takes?
Fingers crossed, mate. We didn't really speak too much on transfers tonight, but I've got a little thing up my belt. I think got to move on Van Dijk now, because he's not going to be playing for a while. And I think Zaha or Grealish in my midfield as well. So I've got 2 free transfers. So it'll be one of the two. Just depends who I'll pick. But I definitely won't be coming to you for the advice for that, Ollie, at all. So I'll pick myself. Thank you.
Oi, mate. It won't last forever, mate. It won't last the whole season. Flash in the pan, mate. You're a flash in the pan. That's it. But obviously, we'll have to see if we can talk the talk and walk the walk. Obviously, we'll come back next week, same time, same channel. Obviously, join the league. You won't have another chance to. So this is the last chance we can tell you. WNZJDI. Get involved. It's a lot of fun. And get in the league. You might be able to dethrone one of us and see how you get on. So WNZJDI, final call to join the league. Get it done. Take care, everyone. See you next week.